The slap echoed louder than the wedding bells. 200 people, crystal chandeliers, champagne glasses midair, and not one person moved. Nana Bright stood in white lace, blood on her cheek, mascara dissolving down her face, inside one of the most expensive ballrooms in Buckhead, Atlanta. Her groom, Marcus Ellington, Atlanta's golden boy of real estate, still had his hand raised, like he was proud of it. He grabbed the mic, smiled at the crowd, and said, "You thought you could embarrass me? You don't walk out on me." Gasps, phones up, someone live streaming already. The maid of honor, frozen. The pastor, looking at the floor. Security, moving closer, but not toward Marcus, toward her. Nana's lip was bleeding, her hands trembling, but her eyes were somewhere else entirely. She reached into the bouquet she was still somehow holding, pulled out her phone, and scrolled to one name she had never used before, one name she swore she'd never need again. Her voice came out barely above a breath. "If you love me, come now." Because what nobody in that ballroom understood was who she had just called, and why a man in a tailored black suit halfway across the city would drop everything, step out of a black Maybach, and drive straight into the middle of this. But to understand that, you have to go back to the beginning, back to who Nana was before the dress, before Marcus, before Atlanta. Back to a night in LA she never talks about. Now picture this. 200 people just watched a woman get slapped on her wedding day. And when it was over, they walked right past her. Nana was outside now, sitting on the marble steps of the venue, white dress pooling around her, Atlanta night air cold on her skin. Colder than she expected for June. One heel was already off, and one by one, guests filed out those grand double doors, looked at her, and kept moving. Not one, "Are you okay?" Not one hand on the shoulder. Nothing. One woman, influencer type, ring light energy, you know the ones, leaned into her friend and whispered, "This is already going viral. Girl, your edges would have been snatched if looks could kill." Then there was Jasmine Carter, wedding planner from Decatur. She'd coordinated the whole day, the florals, the timeline, the seating chart. She knew this family. She stepped outside, saw Nana, and stopped. You could see it on her face, that conflict, that "I know this is wrong" written all over her eyes. But she said nothing. Smoothed her blazer, looked away, went back inside. The security guard near the door wouldn't even make eye contact. So Nana just sat there. Phone screen cracked, probably from when Marcus grabbed her wrist. She looked down at it anyway. The name on the screen? Hiram Gang. She stared at it for a long moment. Now, if you don't know that name yet, hold on, because the story behind that name goes back 2 years. Los Angeles, Koreatown, a federal raid, a night Nana has never, not once, spoken about publicly. A night she saved someone's life, and someone never forgot it. Her phone buzzed in her hand. No answer yet. She brought it back to her ear, voice barely holding together. "Please." Just that one word. Meanwhile, back inside that ballroom, Marcus Ellington was laughing, clinking glasses, letting people pat him on the back like he'd just closed a deal. And maybe in his mind he had. He thought he'd won. He thought Nana had nobody. That was his first mistake, and it wouldn't be his last. So there she is, sitting on those cold marble steps, dress stained, cheeks still stinging, waiting to see if those 7 words she whispered actually meant anything. "If you love me, come now." She'd said them. He'd answered. But answered and arriving are 2 very different things. And right now, she was still alone. Then the doors burst open behind her. Music stops inside. And Marcus, Marcus grabbed that mic again. "I need everyone's attention." That voice, smooth, practiced, the voice of a man who's been charming rooms his whole life. "The wedding is canceled, and for the record, she forfeits the ring." Crowd murmurs. But he wasn't done. "I tried to protect her reputation, but since she wants to play games, she was unfaithful. I have proof." "Sir, you have audacity, that's what you have." Gasps, whispers. Someone said, "I knew something was off about her." They didn't even know her. They just needed a reason to pick a side. And Marcus gift-wrapped one for them. His father, Harold Ellington, old Atlanta money, the kind of man who owns buildings with his name on them, stepped forward, put his hand on a lawyer's shoulder. "Anyone repeating false statements about my son will hear from our legal team." Just like that, the room shifted. Security got new orders. Nana's name? Removed from the venue guest list, blocked from reentry, locked out of her own wedding. Then Marcus pulled out his phone, right there, typed something, and posted to Instagram. "Dodged a bullet. God is good." 20,000 likes in under 10 minutes. The crowd believed him because he had money, a mic, a father with lawyers on speed dial, and Nana had a cracked screen and cold marble steps. Her reputation gone, her wedding gone, her dignity dragged through a Buckhead ballroom and left on the floor like confetti. But here's what Marcus didn't know. While he was inside playing victim to a room full of witnesses, somewhere on I-85, a black Maybach was already moving. Marcus Ellington had just embarrassed the wrong woman, and the clock was already ticking. At some point, Nana stopped crying, not because she felt better, but because the tears just ran out. She'd moved from the marble steps to a stone bench nearby, further from the doors, further from the music still thumping inside like nothing happened, like she hadn't just lost everything in one evening. Her dress was stained now. What was once this pristine white lace had dirt along the hem, a smear near the waist, and blood, dried blood, on her cheek like a scar that hadn't decided what it wanted to be yet. She reached down, pulled off her heels. One strap was broken clean off. She just stared at it for a second, then set it down quietly, like even that small thing deserved some dignity. The Atlanta skyline glowed in the distance, beautiful, unbothered. The city just doing what cities do, glittering while people fall apart beneath them. Her hand moved to her neck, her mother's necklace. Thin gold chain, small pendant, nothing flashy. But Nana wore it to every important moment of her life because her mother told her once, "When everything else is stripped away, remember who you come from." She held it between her fingers now, eyes closed, and her mind went somewhere else entirely. Los Angeles, 2 years ago, Koreatown, a federal raid she was never supposed to be near, a man pinned down in a warehouse with no exit and agents closing in from every side. And Nana, who had no business being there, made a decision in about 4 seconds that changed both their lives. She pulled him out. She doesn't talk about how, she doesn't talk about what it cost her, but Hiram Gang walked out of that building because of her. He owed her everything. And right now, sitting on this bench, in a broken heel and a stained dress, she still didn't know if he'd come. Answered the phone is one thing, showing up is another. And then, headlights. Not one car, several. Black SUVs, rolling slowly into the parking lot, one by one, quiet, deliberate, doors opening. And inside that ballroom, the music stopped. The SUVs parked, engines cut, and then silence. The kind of silence that has weight to it, the kind that makes people stop mid-conversation and look around without knowing why. Guests who'd spilled outside for air froze. Security near the entrance straightened up. And then the last car pulled in. Black Maybach, no plates visible, moving so smoothly it barely seemed to touch the ground. It stopped. The door opened slowly, and Hi-Reem Gang stepped out. Now, let me paint this picture for you properly. Tailored black suit, not a wrinkle on it. Watch that costs more than most people's cars. Calm eyes. The kind of calm that isn't peace, it's control. The kind of man who doesn't need to raise his voice because the room already knows. He didn't rush. He looked around once, just once, took in the whole scene, and started walking. Guests whispered, "Who is that? Is he security? Why does he look like that?" Honey, he looks like that because he is that. Atlanta's venue security, big guys, earpieces, the whole setup, they stiffened as he passed. Didn't stop him, didn't even try. They just moved. He didn't look toward the ballroom, didn't acknowledge Marcus, didn't acknowledge anyone. He walked straight to Nana. And then, this man, in a $5,000 suit, knelt down on cold pavement in front of her. Just like that, no hesitation. He reached up and touched her cheek, gently, right where the blood had dried. His voice came out low. "Who did this?" Nana didn't speak. She just nodded toward the ballroom. Something moved across his face then, subtle. If you blinked, you'd miss it. His jaw tightened, but his voice stayed completely calm. "You should have called me sooner." He shrugged off his jacket and wrapped it around her shoulders without another word. No speech, no performance, just that. And somehow that quiet gesture shifted everything. The guests standing outside felt it. The security guards felt it. Even the Atlanta night air felt different. Power had just walked into the parking lot, and Marcus Ellington, still inside that ballroom, had absolutely no idea. Hi-Rem helped Nana to her feet, and then he turned toward the ballroom. He walked through those grand double doors like he owned them, and honestly, technically, he was about to prove that he kind of did. Guests parted, not because security cleared a path, because something about the way this man moved made people step aside without being asked. The room went quiet in waves. Marcus was mid-laugh with his father when he noticed. He looked Hi-Rem up and down, smirked, grabbed his champagne glass. "And who the hell are you?" The room waited. Hi-Rem didn't answer him. He walked past him, straight to the venue owner, handed him a phone, said 3 words, "Pull up the projector." Now, the venue owner clearly knew something the guests didn't, because his face went pale immediately. But he nodded, and within 30 seconds, the celebration screen that had been showing Nana and Marcus's engagement photos switched to a live stock market feed. Ellington Property Group, and the number was dropping. Fast. The room didn't understand at first. Murmurs, confusion. Someone laughed nervously. Then Harold Ellington, Marcus's father, saw it, really saw it, and the champagne glass nearly slipped from his hand. See, what nobody in that ballroom knew was that for the past 8 months, Hi-Rem Gang had been quietly acquiring controlling shares of Ellington Property Group through shell corporations. Shell corporations that also happened to have funded nearly half of the Ellington family's most prized Atlanta developments. Marcus built his empire partially on Hi-Rem's money and had no idea. Marcus stepped forward, voice cracking just slightly. "If I had known—" Hi-Rem looked at him for the first time. That's the problem. Just that. Then a folder slid onto the table in front of Harold. Offshore accounts, illegal land seizures across South Fulton, documents that certain federal departments had apparently been looking for a very long time. Because right on cue, 3 federal agents walked through the doors, anonymously tipped off earlier that evening. The room went completely silent, phones recording. Marcus Ellington, in his designer suit, in his own celebration, in handcuffs. Hiram didn't yell, didn't gloat, didn't even watch. He turned around, walked back toward the door, and said quietly, "Let's go home." But Nana wasn't done yet. You know what's funny about power? When it's gone, people suddenly find their voice. The same guests who walked past Nana on those marble steps, who kept their eyes down, who whispered, "This is going viral," like she was content and not a human being, started posting apologies by Monday morning. Long ones, too, the kind with multiple paragraphs and a "I've been doing a lot of reflecting" energy. Sir, you had time to reflect in the parking lot, but okay. Marcus Ellington was formally indicted for fraud within 72 hours. Offshore accounts, illegal land seizures in South Fulton, financial crimes that apparently had been building for years behind that golden boy smile. His father, Harold, resigned from the board of Ellington Property Group by Tuesday. No statement, no press conference, just gone. The venue, the same venue that had security escort Nana toward the exit, issued a formal discrimination statement, said they were reviewing their policies on guest safety and intervention. Reviewing? Girl, you needed a policy to tell you not to let a man slap a woman at the altar? Then came Jasmine Carter, the wedding planner from Decatur who saw everything, felt everything, and said nothing. She released a written testimony, admitted she witnessed the assault, admitted she froze, admitted she went back inside because she was afraid of losing the Ellington account. It was honest. It was painful to read. And it was exactly the kind of confession that happens when people finally realize silence has a cost too. The security guard who avoided Nana's eyes that night publicly apologized. Said he was following orders, said he's thought about it every day since. Cold, procedural, one domino at a time. And through all of it, Hayatim Gang's name never appeared in a single report. No interviews, no statements, no credit claimed. He never threatened anyone, never raised his voice, never made a single move that could be traced back to ego. He simply removed the power, quietly, surgically, like rearranging furniture in a room while everyone was asleep. That's the thing about real power. It doesn't announce itself. It just changes the room. And the room was very, very different now. Here's what nobody tells you about surviving a public humiliation. Sometimes it becomes the most powerful thing that ever happened to you, not because the pain wasn't real, but because of what you decide to do with it. 3 months after that night in Buckhead, Nana Bright launched the Carry Your Crown initiative, a foundation specifically built to help women leave abusive relationships, not just emotionally, but practically. Legal support, housing resources, financial rebuilding, the real stuff that nobody talks about when they say, just leave. Like, okay, sis, leave and go where exactly? With what exactly? Nana knew that question personally, and she made sure her foundation answered it. The response was immediate. Thousands of women reached out in the first week alone, stories pouring in from Atlanta, Chicago, Houston, Detroit, places where women had been sitting on their own version of those cold marble steps, alone, wondering if anyone would show up. Jasmine Carter showed up too, Not just with an apology this time, but with her whole life redirected. She left the wedding planning industry, became a full-time advocate for domestic abuse victims, and started working alongside Nana's foundation as a community liaison. She said publicly, "I stayed silent once. I will spend the rest of my life making noise." The venue implemented a mandatory intervention policy. Any sign of physical aggression toward a guest, staff are required to act. Not suggest, not observe, act. The viral clip from that night, the one the influencer was so excited about, sparked a national conversation about bystander responsibility, think pieces, panel discussions, Senate floor mentions, all from one terrible evening in a Buckhead ballroom. And then, Nana found out. Months into running the foundation, her accountant flagged a significant anonymous donation, recurring, substantial, routed through 3 different entities. She traced it back and sat very still for a long moment. Hiram. She called him. He picked up on the second ring. She said, "You didn't have to do that." He was quiet for a second. Then, "You saved me first." And that was it. No big moment, no grand gesture, just 4 words that carried the weight of everything. 3 years later. Chicago, a charity gala on the 42nd floor of a building that touches the clouds. Crystal everywhere, floor-length gowns, the kind of room that takes itself very seriously. And at the center of it all, Nana Bright, standing at a podium, confident, composed, wearing that same thin gold necklace her mother gave her, the one she clutched on a cold stone bench in Atlanta while her world fell apart. She wasn't trembling tonight. She was running the room. In the back, quiet as ever, high-rim gang stood near the wall. No entourage, no spotlight, just watching, the way he always did. Not beside her, never trying to take up her space, just present. A reporter caught him afterward and asked the question everyone wanted answered. "Is he your protector?" Nana smiled, the kind of smile that holds a whole story behind it. "No." She paused. "I protected myself. He just showed up." And somewhere in a holding facility, on a small mounted television in a common room, Marcus Ellington watched her say those words. Disgraced, indicted, reduced. Watching the woman he tried to destroy. Absolutely glowing. Full circle. And that's the lesson. The room had 200 people in it that night. 200. And only one person showed up for Nana. So here's the question I need you to sit with. If you were in that ballroom, hands free, phone in pocket, watching a woman bleed in her wedding dress, what would you have done? Because silence isn't neutral. Silence picks a side, and it never picks the person on the ground. The lesson is simple. Dignity isn't something you deserve only when it's convenient for the people around you, and showing up for someone costs less than you think. Now, if this story moved you even slightly and you're still not subscribed, I genuinely don't know what we're doing here. You sat through an hour of this woman's story and you won't click one button? That's giving bystander behavior, and we just talked about why that's a problem. Hit subscribe. Share this for every Nana sitting alone on cold steps right now. And comment, "I would have shown up," if you mean it. Because some people need to know someone would.